Needing to know is what got us banished from the Garden of Eden. Are you prepared to be cast out again, Eve?
Yes.
My first question for you comes from the fact that this is your 5th time playing Winston in this film franchise, but this time around, he is looking out for a completely different character. So that was making me wonder, is there anything about Winston's relationship with Eve that helped you unlock a new layer of him, even after all those previous films?
We always talked about when we did it, because, again, I have to go back to this thing about reshoots and new shoots. When they announce that in Hollywood, everybody goes, oh, it must be terrible. They reshoot. You say, no. It's a big franchise like this. We did the original film late 2022 and early 2023. And they put it together. And then we went back and we decided that what they thought of originally, the emotional resonance would have more about her if you had an opening sequence, you saw her as a kid. So that's when they did that, which actually helps the film enormously because it references that she was a child of Roscaroma like John Wick was, so there's reference to that. And the fact is that I come and rescue her, if you like, as a child, whatever, gives an emotional resonance when I meet her later on, when she comes to the hotel and gives the coin. So you have a sort of a through line, and you have a through line of the characters, and having her being referenced in Episode 3, when she was a ballet dancer, it's a natural progression that you bring a female demographic to this series, of a highly successful franchise, which nobody thought of in the first place as being beyond an independent movie that was a very good script by Derek Kolstad and Chad directed, would develop into this, well-recognized, well-loved, well-respected, and hugely successful global sort of movie. And I'm just glad. And I also look at, I think there's an added bonus, the fact that Anna previously, I remember seeing her and thinking she was the best thing in that Bond movie a few years ago when she played that character. I'd forgotten the name of her until this morning, Paloma, and she reminded me, which was great. And the fact that she said, people love that. I said, yeah, because it was one scene. I said, any more? I said, it was perfect because people want more then. And if they love you from that, they'll now come and see a whole movie of you in it, being this kick-ass, gorgeous creature, who takes over from John Wick for a while until Keanu comes in again,
Oh, I got a follow-up question to that. But I also will say one of my favorite things in the world to do is to demystify reshoots, because I feel like they've taken on this negative connotation, but the whole point of them is to bolster a film and make everything better.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm glad to hear you clarify that.
Oh, yeah, when you get big films, yeah, but that's always Hollywood. I mean, they love the dirt, they love the dialogue and whatever. But, I mean, you get it on every big show. And sometimes it works. This is very thoughtful. I mean, it's a very... a successful franchise like this, you've got, and as they say, success has many fathers, failure is an orphan. So people want to be very protective about it, but at the same time, you don't want it to be the same old, same old. So I think this was a really bold step forward to bring in a character like that, but perfect timing and a perfect actress to pick for the part is Anna, So it was a welcome, as well as being a gorgeous addition, but was a welcome. Well, as I said before, a female demographic, because there's often obviously my kids, my grandkids love the movies, whatever, and see it, but they'll look forward to seeing this even more. It's a demographic of women who wouldn't normally see this, women of their own. I think it's an extra thing for them, to see, because sometimes you ask people, they go, oh, I've heard of John Wick, but I haven't seen it. I mean, women of, of my daughter's age, So it'll be interesting to see.
I'll lean into how good she is in this movie now.
Oh, she's terrific. She's just a very good actress, and
in
a great
everything
girl.
I've ever seen her.
Yeah,
in.
she's
so
really
good.
She's really gifted and really a good person, like Keanu,
So actually, there is a part in my press notes that specifically say they needed to find someone who was similarly gifted to Keanu Reeves for the lead role of Eve in this movie. So I'll give you a two-part question about that. What is something that you saw in her that signaled to you like she could do it just like he did? But then on the other hand, what is something you saw her do that makes her a one-of-a-kind force on screen?
Well, as I said, the one-of-a-kind thing is answered by the Paloma in the Bond movie when you see somebody. But the first part of the question is answered by the fact that she has a vulnerability. And I think she as a person and her backstory of being, the fact that she's a Cuban-American, Cuban, came here, went to Madrid, came back again, lives in America, has an interesting life of herself, is not just popped up from nowhere, but has been around a while, knows who she is, and still finding out about whatever, and has been given this opportunity and has grabbed it with both hands. And I hope it's enormously successful for her,
I've got high hopes. I follow her to every single project. I have all the faith in the world in her always. And I feel like this movie delivered big time in that respect. You brought up backstory as it pertains to Eve, but I am curious about backstory for Winston. And I know we had the Continental show, but I'm always a big nerd for backstory and lore. So I've always wondered, have you come up with any particular
Oh, yeah, we
thing?
can. No, we can. Well, again, that leads into my, my dear friend, my dear departed friend, Lance Reddick, who I would normally be here with talking about the movie. I miss him dearly. But we would talk about the backstory that we had. I remember from the very first show together, deciding that, and I think much more interesting than what you mentioned before about the prequel, would have been to have, there were two government operatives who met in Africa maybe on a joint CIA MI6. And then when their governments no longer had any use for them, which they don't, and this is true in real life, they're thrown out into the world. And what do they know? They're in a world of black ops, psyops, mercenaries, whatever, and they put it to good use. So they were approached by this under the high table, because still nobody knows who that is. So we used to talk about the backgrounds of that. But at the same time, running a hotel as these two very official-looking guys. I mean, it's like it was... And you got to wear great suits at the same time. So when a project had come up, I'd say, oh, good, get in touch with my tailor in London. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, No, I mean, there's lots of, it's been a great thing to be part of and still is. And when you see it each time, you go, yeah, it's. I think they've nurtured it and got it better over the 5. They haven't let it get out of hand. It seems a natural progression, and people love the show, love the series, and I think love the characters in it. And I hope they feel the same about Ballerina. I'm sure they will.
A natural progression, and also one that continues to leave me wanting more. So I hope to see you return to this role yet again. I'm going to say huge congratulations on Ballerina, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.